Manhattan, Lower Town, Chinatown. Kana, you have to be obedient when you arrive at school, listen to the teacher, don't make a fool of yourself, you know. Okay. To be, no, Sylvia, stop by the supermarket on the way back. Okay, cooking wine, soy sauce, and koji, right? Excuse me. At the entrance of the small shop, 3 people, a man and a woman, stood. Judging from the dialogue alone, the 3 of them are obviously a family, but looking at their appearance, they are not harmonious. A strong man with a height of 2 meters, with a big bald head and a whole body of tendon flesh. Although there is no tattoo or scar, but looking at his physique and face, the villain who lives in the dark is not as scary as him. In front of the strong man are 2 women, one big and one small. The bigger one is about 1 meter 6. When it comes to size, it may be a little bit worse than the average height of local women, but when it comes to body shape, it is the protruding and the warped, especially the plump and moderately proportioned legs. She's more beautiful than a model. The small one, less than a meter. The chubby little face was rosy and cute, and the long white but not sickly long hair was tied into 2 braids at the back of the head, with the little pink sun hat on the head. From a distance, it was almost 4. The proportions of her head and body make this little girl even more cute. Kona, we should go. Yet. Holding her sister's hand, the little girl Kong Na nodded vigorously. After walking 2 steps, remembering the promise she heard yesterday, the little girl turned back and looked at the big man standing at the door of the shop. Xiao Lei, come back in the afternoon, will there be pudding? Don't worry, I promise to satisfy you. The big man raised his thumb and grinned, a light flashed on his white teeth. If I were to? No problem, if you can get the little red flower. Okay, don't regret it. Watching the 2 women get into the car and disappear far away at the end of the street, Shi Xiaoliai put down his right hand, leaned over and pulled up the rolling shutter, and entered the shop to start a busy day. Almost 3 months have passed since the moment of crossing into this world. Although it is scientifically proven that it only takes 90 days to form a stable habit, if you count the time, it is almost enough. But to be honest, every time I see those tips on TV or newspapers, Shi Xiaoliai still finds it difficult to adapt, feeling that he is still in a dream. In the Smithsonian Museum in New York, various equipment used by Captain America is displayed. Tony, who appears in entertainment lace news every so often, claims that he has an overnight relationship with the supermodel Stark, the Osborne building just a few blocks away. All of this is silently proving to Shi Xiaoliai that this is not the world he once lived in, but that it is difficult for ordinary people. The heavy Marvel Universe. To be honest, when Shi Xiaoliai just noticed this, Shi Xiaoliai was almost scared to death. I finally managed to escape from death, and had the opportunity to live a new life, but I came to the dangerous Marvel world, and was directly born in the most dangerous Big Apple. Whether it is Iron Man 1 in Iron Man 1 Iron Overlord vs. Iron Man, or the demolition battle in The Incredible Hulk, or the alien invasion in Avengers 1, all happened in this city. For superheroes, this city that often breeds all kinds of big events may be the best stage for them to show their abilities, but for ordinary people with a combat power of only 5, this city is still too dangerous. To be honest, when I was sure I was in Marvel, and when I was in New York, the first thought that came to Shi Xiaoliai's mind was moving. It's just that the reality is not as easy as he imagined. You must know that as a traveler, Shi Xiaoliai is an out-and-out black man. Without any documents to prove your identity, it is not easy to travel far, let alone settle down in other places. On the other hand, the birthplace Chinatown is a bit more complicated. After all, there are still a lot of fellow villagers who have smuggled over from China to work as gangsters. Like Shi Xiaoliai, they have not obtained identity certificates for the time being. Mixed in these people, Shi Xiaoliai is not particularly conspicuous except that he is bigger. Another reason is that there are restrictions on the system. On the way to the computer city for repairs with the faulty hard drive, he was split into coke by a thunderstorm. As Shi Xiaoliai traveled to the Marvel world, the broken hard drive also evolved into his companion artifact under the washing of time and space. Perhaps because its predecessor was a computer hard drive, the appearance of this artifact in his sea of consciousness also turned into a system. There are two functions in the system, one is check-in, and the other is blind box exchange. As long as you are within the range of New York City, you can check in once a day, get 10 check-in points, and get a random reward. If Shi Xiaoliai's people are not in New York City, then the daily check-in value will be halved, and random rewards will also be cancelled. The sign-in rewards are mostly useless things www.mentalnovel.com such as toilet paper, canned Coke, expired magazines, etc. After 3 months, the best sign-in reward is only $200 in cash. To be honest, Shi Xiaoliai really didn't care much about the rewards given by check-in. The key is the blind box exchange. All kinds of games, animations, and movies stored in the hard disk have become material libraries. All props, characters, and abilities that have appeared in these works are stored in the blind box. As long as the check-in value is enough, sooner or later can be exchanged. How to survive in the dangerous world of Marvel? In Shi Xiaoliai's view, there are only two ways. 1. Continue to strengthen yourself and improve your ability to a level sufficient to resist crises. 2. Unite more comrades in arms and form groups to fight the crisis. Undoubtedly, these two methods can be realized through the blind box exchange function. Therefore, in order to accumulate check-in value, Shi Xiaoliai had to give up the idea of moving, and honestly took root in Chinatown. In the first month, I accumulated 300 check-in points and opened the first blind box. Maybe it's because the adaptability is high enough, or maybe it's because of God's care, Shi Xiaoliai opened the barbarian bloodline in Diablo 2. With a strong physique and a physique that can fight better than a boxing champion, Shi Xiaoliai was introduced by a very good fellow, and went to the underground boxing arena to fight a few black fists, earning a small $200,000 knife. Then, using the money, he bought himself an identity card that could withstand inspection, rented a small shop in Chinatown, and opened a small fly restaurant. Money is fast, but such a shortcut will always leave some troubles. No, after sending off the two family members, Shi Xiaoliai, who was preparing in the store, welcomed two more bad guests. In the underground world, there are strong men who can fight, and murderers who die for money are not uncommon at all. But like Shi Xiaoliai, who fights fiercely, has excellent visual effects, and is 100% guaranteed to win, it is not very common. Plus he doesn't have any background backers. Since Shi Xiaoliai left the underground boxing ring, almost every few days, someone will come to the door, or lure or threaten, asking him to return to the ring again and act as his cash cow. Get out! If the other party persuaded in a good voice, Shi Xiaoliai would give some face. After all, you don't reach out and hit the smiling face. But if the other party is persecuted maliciously, he will not be so polite. For example, now, ignoring the butterfly knife that the opponent showed, Shi Xiaoliai stretched out his big hand and slapped the weapon from the opponent's hand. Then, with a 4-5 yard pocket foot, the two gangsters rolled out of the store like a gourd rolling on the floor. Mike! Mike! The one in the back was luckier, but was hit by a flying companion and wasn't seriously injured. But the one in front of him had a heart attack, but he only had half a breath left. He got up and saw that his companion was about to burp. The little black and thin man was startled and angry. Looking at Shi Xiaoliai, who was standing at the door of the shop like an iron tower, the little black thin man was so frightened that he subconsciously pulled out the small pistol pinned to his waist. The black hole's muzzle pointed at Shi Xiaoliai, and the little black thin man explained what it means to be stern. Lock! You bastard, I'm going to kill you. It wasn't the first time someone pointed a gun at Shi Xiaoliai, and Shizaoliai wasn't panicking because of the small pistol in the hands of the little black skinny man. I saw him striding forward with two big thick legs and walking forward with full deterrence, while twitching the corners of his mouth. He squeezed out the most vicious smile. Really? Are you sure you are mentally prepared? After activating the barbarian bloodline in the game, not only the physique has been greatly improved, but the physical condition has also been digitized. No matter where you are hit, you will not die directly. At most, you will only lose a little blood, and you will be able to recover after a period of rest. If the caliber is smaller, the bullets can't even penetrate the strong muscles, and the blood will be deducted at most 1 or 2 points. It is because of this ability that Shizaoliai did not fear the threat of the boxing boss at the beginning, and ignored the solicitation of those underworld tycoons. Quit so simply. No, don't come here. Perhaps it was because he was reminded by his companions that he knew that the small pistol would not work against Shizaoliai, and he felt insecure in his heart, or perhaps it was because of the savage aura emanating from Shizaoliai's body, which caused him great psychological oppression. The little black skinny was frightened like an incontinent bitch, and the screams in his mouth were like seeing a ghost. He took 2 steps forward, grabbed the opponent's right hand holding the gun, and exerted a little force, only to hear a crunching sound. The little black skinny man's right hand completely changed shape. Ah! Damn it, my hand! The severe pain made the little black skinny scream louder, and the soft fingers lost their strength and could no longer hold it. Pistol! He took off the pistol and waited. Shizaoliai raised his eyes and looked at the little black skinny who was rolling on the ground. The insurance has not been opened, you are the brains, and you are still here. Damn it, Locke! Just wait, I must kill you. If that's the case, then I can only do it first. Holding the pistol, he took 2 steps forward, came to the little black skinny, raised his left foot and stepped on his chest, then raised the pistol and pointed at him his head. I don't want to be called by you again, so can I ask you to die? I didn't think about shooting, I just frightened this guy. Although he doesn't look like a good person, Shizaoliai is a transmigrator from the great heaven after all. It's just that, it looks too fierce, and the momentum brought by the barbarian blood is too cruel. Not only was the little black skinny scared to pee, but the 2 police officers who happened to be patrolling nearby were also shocked by Shizaoliai's vicious temperament. Hey, hey! What about you? NYPD. The man in front, put down the gun, put his hands up, and hold it behind his head. I don't know the ins and outs of what happened, just looking at the scene in front of me, I just thought that Shizaoliai was the perpetrator. The 2 fat policemen hid behind the car, raised their pistols, pointed at Shizaoliai 10 meters away, and gave a very nervous warning. Tisk, you're lucky. As the play was about to be completed, Shizaoliai threw away the pistol and glared at the thin black man again. The effect of the concentrated deterrent is really not overpowering. Under a stare, the little black and thin man rolled his eyes in fright. On the other side, the 2 policemen quickly surrounded Shizaoliai when they saw Shizaoliai throw away the pistol. Hey, hey, 2 police officers! Shizaoliai felt a little unhappy at being pushed by the 2 policemen. However, considering that this is the United States, the police have the emergency power, so he did not resist the restraint of the police, but made a verbal complaint. You are mistaken, these 2 are the bad guys, it's just for self-protection. If you don't believe me, you can go to the surveillance, it's right there. It is an indisputable fact that yellow people are often discriminated against in the United States and have a lower status than black people. But then again, whether or not you will encounter injustice depends on the person. You cannot generalize about all situations. www.mentalnovel.com for example. Now, because the size is too large and the deterrent is very strong, it does not seem like a good target to bully, so, Shizaoliai's words still played a role, and were not completely ignored by the 2 policemen. Well, it was mainly because someone stepped in and intervened. Just leave it to us next. A middle-aged man with a worrying hairline appeared out of nowhere, took out his ID and shook it in front of the two policemen. Please take these two on the ground with you. Let's go. I can prove that the facts are as he said, these two are the suspects who should really be held responsible. After checking the documents, there is no problem in confirming the identity of the other party. The two policemen put away their pistols and saluted, "Yes, sir." Pulled the two unconscious gangsters to the patrol car. As the police car left, the street was calm again. Shi Xiaoliai's mood was just the opposite. Others don't know it. As a transmigrator, how could he not recognize the identity of the person in front of him? In a black suit, his forehead is shiny, his hairline is worrying, and he has a kind and gentleman's smile on his face. After several times in the entire Marvel world, the agent Phil Coulson, who is known as the mayor of Novice Village, is this pair. Image. Isn't that Coulson? How could he come to the door? Carefully recalling his own experiences in the past few months, Shi Xiaoliai unconsciously fell into thought. "Mr. Locke, can you take a step to speak?" After waiting patiently for a while, seeing that Shi Xiaoliai hadn't been able to recover, and some curious passers-by gathered around, Coulson had to take the initiative to speak, breaking the silence. "Oh." After returning to his senses and looking at the situation around him, Shi Xiaoliai nodded, turned and walked into the store. "Come to the store." Rock, 3 months ago, suddenly appeared in Chinatown in Lower Manhattan, New York. Since I borrowed the CIA's vest, it must be a bit like a CIA agent doing business. He also wanted to gain the upper hand in terms of momentum first, to pave the way for the next conversation. So, after entering the store and sitting down with guests, Coulson shared some personal information about Shi Xiaoliai. "So you came to inform me that you are going to send me back to China." Before he crossed over, Shi Xiaoliai didn't have the habit of interrupting other people's conversations casually, nor would he be so upright and take words to people casually. After all, people are ugly, and people are frightened because of their large size. If they speak a little less gentle, they will inevitably be misunderstood. If you don't want to go out to a small supermarket, you have to be guarded by the shopkeeper, and you don't want to be constantly questioned by the police. Just like a prisoner who has just been released from the bureau, he is always viewed with discrimination and disgust by others. After integrating into the society, Shi Xiaoliai gradually developed the habit of welcoming people with a smile. As for why he is so rude now, he interrupted Coulson before he finished speaking. First, because this is the United States, the habit of dialogue between people is different from that in China. Second, it's because there are big ugly ghosts here. Although Shi Xiaoliai's height and appearance are a bit ferocious, they can't be called extreme. Coupled with his discriminated skin color, he has to say one thing and one thing. Of course, the reason for such a big change in how he treats people and things is mainly because he merged himself with the barbarian blood from Diablo 2 months ago. Not that this blood will be like the Green Goblin like the potion, it has a negative impact on the user's character, but because the fusion of blood has greatly improved his ability, he has the confidence to not be afraid of things, and then he naturally released the constraints on himself, showing a more for the straight side. "No, Mr. Locke, you misunderstood." He didn't mind being interrupted by Shi Xiaoliai at all. Coulson didn't change his face, he still wore a gentle smile as always. "Early after you showed your unique ability, I have noticed your existence. After 2 months of observation, we believe that you are a gentle person who loves life and will never take the initiative to provoke trouble. Therefore, we have always welcomed your existence. I have absolutely no intention of deporting you." "Then what did you mean just now?" Shi Xiaoliai raised his hand and touched his bare forehead, with a bit of discomfort in his voice. "Just to remind you not to mess around and to calm you down." Coulson replied, "In fact, if you didn't attract the attention of the police today, I wouldn't have appeared in front of you. Just to help me out." Shi Xiaoli's face was full of suspicion. Guess I believe it or not. Whether you believe it or not, this is the truth. Carlson nodded with a solemn look on his face, because we know very well that your hidden strength is not as simple as it seems. If it is because of this trivial matter, forcing you on the road of breaking the law and committing crimes, the consequences will be very serious. The reason why I noticed Shi Xiaoli was not because of his fighting prowess in the underground boxing arena. One thing to say, just looking at Shi Xiaoli's combat effectiveness in the ring, there are many agents in SHIELD. Frequently on stage, the interval between each time is unimaginably short, and the next time he takes the stage, all previous injuries will be fully recovered. Shi Xiaoli's resilience exposed by his carelessness, in other words, he beat the full-blood resurrection ability that comes with gaining experience and leveling up, as well as the quick recovery ability obtained by hiding in the lounge and knocking a small red bottle after stepping down, are the low-level agents who caused him to be hidden beside a certain underworld boss. Key reason to arrive. As early as the first month he came to this world, Shi Xiaoli received the attention of SHIELD. Of course, his presence was not very strong at that time, and his name was not reported to director Nick Fury. In the second month, when Shi Xiaoli exchanged 300 check-in points for the second blind box and summoned Miss 2B to this world, he really entered the line of sight of the top management of S.H.I.E.L.D. She is very beautiful, she can think and talk, and she will bleed when she is injured, but in the final analysis, Miss 2B is still an out-and-out intelligent robot. The thermal imaging lens during night surveillance is completely different from that of humans, footprints are collected for analysis, and the weight is 3 times that of a human female of the same size. Although Miss 2B has never participated in battle since she was summoned to this world, nor did she use her body to earn benefits for the intelligent robot's superior link network, she has not exposed the complete set of equipment that she brought with her, and has concealed her true identity very well. But from the standpoint of SHIELD, the not a human being alone is enough to attract their attention. It was also from then on that Carlson, who had just completed the mission of rescue Tony Stark, was sent by Ludan www.mtlnovel.com to become the supervisor of Shi Xiaoli's family. Speaking of which, the identity certificates of Miss 2B and Kona also deserve credit for Carlson. If he hadn't helped behind the scenes, things wouldn't have gone so smoothly. Just like people with severe infectious diseases are not allowed to go out of public places, if you want to get a green card in the United States, you must go to a designated medical institution for a comprehensive medical examination. Of course, if you're not planning to live your life well, and you think a fake green card to fool things is enough, that's another story. The one that Shi Xiaoli paid someone to do by himself was a real green card that could stand the test. Although the channel is not very formal, and some steps are saved by jumping in the middle of the line, but that is only the steps of the copywriting part. With the little money he paid, he would definitely not be able to jump through a key checkpoint like a physical examination. Knowing that Miss 2B will never pass the physical examination, and there is not so much money for her to skip this step, Shi Xiaoli had no choice but to think of another way to ask someone to find a suitable target from the list of missing persons and let her Miss 2B replaces the identity of the other party, and then goes to reissue a card. The former can be regarded as a side ball, but the latter is a real crime. The severity is completely different, the price to be paid after being caught is also very different, plus the technical requirements. It took a week from the day when he had an idea, and Shi Xiaoli was unable to find a strong enough to ensure a master who is willing to take over this job without making any mistakes. In the end, Carlson, who was still hiding in the dark, couldn't stand it any longer, so he took the initiative to help him. This made Shi Xiaoli's wish come true and gave Miss 2B a new identity. From a certain point of view, it can be said that the name Sylvia that Miss 2B is using now was assigned to her by Carlson. What can be said, what can't be said, when and what should be said, as a special agent, Carlson has already practiced this way to perfection. Like today. After showing up to meet Shi Xiaoli, he didn't reveal too much information, not even the help he gave behind the scenes. There are idle people waiting to disturb your daily life promise, and then he said goodbye and left, disappearing from Shi Xiaoliai's line of sight. Sir, are you sure this is all right? 80%. According to my observations, he has a soft-hearted personality, so I think it is best to take a gentler approach when dealing with him. If he acts too tough, it is very likely would backfire. Okay, you are the captain, you have the final say. Continue to pay attention. If there is any abnormality, report it to me in time. The alert level is lowered to level 3, and the extra staff will be transferred to Stark. Yes. Tony Stark was rescued only a few days ago. Because of his words close the Stark Industry Weapons Department, the huge Stark Industry is in turmoil. It has not been found out who wants to kill Tony Stark. If the other party takes advantage of the unstable situation of Stark's industry and starts to attack Tony Stark again. Considering that Stark is this supergiant enterprise the owner, his safety is very important, and a slight accident may even lead to changes in the economic, military, and even political environment of the entire country. Of course, Coulson should pay more attention to him. As for Shi Xiaoliai's side, in Coulson's view, even if something happened to him, it would never trigger a massive chain reaction like what happened to Stark. In addition, after meeting him, he has a more intuitive judgment on his character, and thinks that he is not a character who takes the initiative to cause trouble. Coulson believes that there is really no need to invest too many people and continue to monitor him highly as before. The other side. After seeing off Coulson and his subordinates, Shi Xiaoliai sat in the shop dumbfounded. The other party revealed too little information to analyze when he entered the vision of Shield, let alone whether the Hydra hidden inside Shield had noticed his existence. Because of these unknowns, Shi Xiaoliai's mind was full of messy thoughts, and he couldn't make up his mind at all. I'm back. Hearing the movement from the back door, Shi Xiaoliai woke up from his contemplation. Turning his head and seeing Tubi who had already changed his clothes, he remembered that he was not alone, with her and Kong Na by his side. Shi Xiaoliai's eyes brightened a bit, and his thoughts suddenly became clear. Although his strength is far from reaching the upper limit of the panel, it is equivalent to clearing the normal difficulty at present, but as his followers exchanged from the system, Tubi and Kona appeared in this world in a full state. How strong is Tubi in full state? The various weapons that need to be collected in the game are not bad, and all the skills that need to be lit are mastered, plus the auxiliary terminal that has not been taken out, that is, the one in the game that can provide support, and comes with infinite bullets buffs pod, and the transforming fighters he drove during airborne operations. It is no exaggeration to say that even Tony Stark when the timeline advances to Iron Man 3 is not necessarily her enemy. As for Kong Na, who is in full state, there is no need to say more. Don't look at the little girl who is less than 1 meter tall, she is so cute and cute, in fact, she is a giant dragon who has lived for 14,000 plus years. And judging from the original setting of the dragon made of the Xylan family, Kona should be a character that can be called a god in a sense, just like the feathered snake Lakoya and the evil dragon Fafnir. In terms of combat power, at least it is at the level of Thor after he was blinded in one eye and activated the thunder and lightning talent in Thor 3, Ragnarok. If you refer to the animation with the dragon mother Thor's learning, it is easy to tear the dragon's breath away. The performance of the Split Earth is even comparable to the fire giant Surtur, who has recovered from the eternal fire. What Shield, what Hydra, in front of Kana of True Tooth Slayer's butterfly, what is it? Looking at Tubi, who has a gentle smile and is as well behaved as an ideal younger sister, and thinks about Kong Na, who is very cute and popular in school, the worry in Shi Xiaoliai's heart is like the thin snow under the warm sun. In an instant, it disappeared without a trace. He got up and went behind Tubi and helped her fasten her apron. Shi Xiaoliai asked with a smile, "Is the journey going well? Kong Na is not unhappy, right?" "No." Shaking his head, the pure white hair swayed gently, and a warm smile appeared on the corner of 2B's mouth. When I sent her to the school gate, I met two little girls who were very close to her. Connor was so happy that she gave them 2 lollipops. Really? You actually learned to share candy with friends? Shiziaoli laughed cheerfully, so, Kong Na should be doing pretty well in school. Yet. 2B nodded, and started to work quickly. When we parted www.mtlnovel.com, Kana told me that she wanted to invite her classmates to play in the store on weekends. Really? Then I have to prepare well. Putting on the arm cage and gloves, he began to process 2B's cleaned ingredients. While chopping vegetables, Shiziaoli asked, Sylvia, what do you think of the cake? Kona must be very happy. 2B nodded in agreement, and reminded, in addition, you need to prepare more puddings. Of course, Kong Na likes to eat the pudding I made the most. Recalling Kong Na's happy expression when eating pudding, Shiziaoli laughed with a sense of accomplishment. The Little Fly restaurant has been open for almost 2 months. Although at the beginning, because the environment was not good enough, there was a period when there were no customers, but as Shiziaoli's craftsmanship was gradually recognized by the diners, the business in the store gradually improved. Today, 2 months later, this small shop opened by Shiziaoli has become a favorite place for office workers in several nearby office buildings by virtue of its cheapness and delicious taste. One wave at noon, one wave in the afternoon, and hundreds of guests are received almost every day. As the saying goes, practice makes perfect. As the business continued, Shiziaoli had forgotten his occupation on Earth and truly became a qualified cook. 2B, who was originally supposed to be a combat-specific intelligent robot, also mastered various service skills and transformed himself into an impeccable waiter. No, it took just over an hour for the two of them to process all kinds of ingredients and prepare for the opening. Looking at the time, it was almost 10:30. Shiziaoli smiled and greeted 2B while washing his hands. Sylvia, go and flip the sign in front of you, we can start business. Okay. Before traveling to the Marvel world, Shiziaoli worked several jobs. First, he worked as a security guard in a certain community, and later he went to the aquatic market as a porter. Because of his fierce appearance, he would often scare children and customers. Went to a construction site with almost no female creatures, and dealt with cement bricks and steel bars every day. With a tall body and great strength, Shiziaoli can handle the bricks that others have to move twice. Because the work efficiency is much higher than others, and it is better than the donkey of the production team, Shiziaoli is naturally valued by the foreman. In addition, he is honest enough. He never plays cards during the break, and he never goes to the construction site to find fun. He has a temper that knows how to save money to live. The more he looks, the more pleasing he is to the eye. The foreman even thought about it more than once and wanted to introduce it to Shiziaoli. Girl in her own village. I don't know since when, Shiziaoli has become a person in the eyes of the foreman, and in his daily life, he has gradually received more preferential treatment and care. For example, cooking skills were learned through the blessing of Uncle Foreman. If it wasn't for him to say hello in the middle, the restaurant owner who was in charge of delivering meals to the construction site would not have been so patient in guiding Shiziaoli. In addition, if you can find time to go to learn craftsmanship from other restaurant owners, you have to thank the Uncle Foreman nodding. Look, the list for table 2. Holding a list, he opened the door of the back kitchen, 2B put his head in, and rushed into Shiziaoli, who was busy on the stove. 2 servings of fried rice with shrimp and egg, one of which is no diced carrots. Okay. He agreed, put the rice noodles that had just been fried in the pot on a plate, and brought it to 2B. Shiziaoli asked casually, just 2 pieces of fried rice, right? There's nothing else. Well, it was packed and taken away. Okay, I see, you can pack the side dishes, and the fried rice will be ready in no time. It's not a high-end restaurant, it's taking the road of small profits but quick turnover. In order to control costs, this small restaurant opened by Shiziaoli only has less than 10 kinds of dishes: fried rice noodles, fried noodles, and a few dishes that are very difficult to make. Simple building a house, plus the tomato/seaweed egg soup that's just changed, that's all. Even though the dishes are simple, the business in the store is quite good. The price is affordable, the taste is above the standard, the ingredients are large, the portion is large, and the serving speed is fast enough, plus the popularity of Miss Kanban Niang 2B, and the Beauty and the Beast-like picture when she and Shiziaoli are paired together, is one of the influencing factors. All in all, Shiziaoli lived a very fulfilling life every day, but when he opened his business, he basically had to work from morning to night. But then again, it's still a bit laborious to keep doing business like this from morning to night. It's not that I can't bear it physically. To be honest, even if he didn't integrate the barbarian blood, Shiziaoli couldn't possibly be tired of the work in the shop just because of his good physique. And Miss 2B, who works with him, let alone the energy conversion core with high efficiency to the ceiling, which can consume 100% of all the food you eat without leaving a trace of waste. The conversion of energy into energy, in terms of endurance, Miss 2B can work until the end of the world. The key is not being able to bear it mentally. Barbarians are also human beings, no matter how big their nerves are and how tough their characters are, there will always be a moment of mental exhaustion. What's more, Shiziaoli has only merged his bloodlines for a long time, and he has not been trained by blood and fire like the compatriots on the Ariat Plateau. One thing to say, although he already has the strength to clear the first difficulty, but in spirit, in terms of willpower, Shiziaoli was a little better than ordinary people, far below the standard of a qualified barbarian. In addition, there is now Miss 2B, who goes by the pseudonym Sylvia, and the little girl Kana by her side. As the head of the family, Shiziaoli feels that it is necessary to take some time to accompany them, so that they can have a good experience of human beings every day in the world, enjoy more beauty from life. The weekly business hours only last until noon on Saturday. The store closes at 3 o'clock on Saturday afternoon, the moment Connor returns from the violin hobby class. In the blink of an eye, it's Saturday again. I'm so fat. 2B just stopped the car, and before she could put the handbrake on, the little girl Kong Na couldn't wait to jump out of the car, and ran into the store with her two short legs upside down. The time was a little later than last week. When I came back, there were only 2 customers left in the restaurant who had not finished eating. Ignoring the 2 guests sitting in the corner, Kong Na was like a happy little frog who jumped as soon as she entered the door and jumped into the arms of Shiziaoli, who was resting on a chair by the counter. Ayo. He caught the little girl in a hurry and rubbed her head. Shiziaoli's face showed an old father's smile. Kong Na is back, did you have a good time today? She pulled Shiziaoli's clothes, found the most comfortable position, and sat in his arms. Happy. Kong Na agreed, took the small bowl that Shiziaoli had prepared, and gently scooped a small spoonful of pudding into her mouth. The sweet taste of egg and milk spread in her mouth, and Kong Na narrowed her eyes happily. www.mtlnovel.com. Her face was full of intoxication. Well, it's delicious. It's delicious, today's pudding, I added a little condensed milk in it. Is it a little sweeter and more fragrant than usual? Yeah. Kong Na nodded vigorously, scooped up a spoon, turned and handed it to Shiziaoli's mouth. Ziaoli, you can eat too. Calling names is a habit in the United States, but the name that comes out of her mouth is Shiziaoli's Chinese name. It's not because Kong Na is too young, she mixes Chinese and English every day, which confuses her name. In fact, the little girl shouted so deliberately. In her words, this is her exclusive name. I've eaten it. He smiled and shrank back. Seeing 2B walk in, Shiziaoli said hello again. Sylvia, there are prepared puddings in the refrigerator. I'll eat it later. Holding up the violin case in his hand, To Be replied with a smile, "I'll go back first and put this away." "Okay, you can go." Thinking of something, Shi Xiaoliai reminded, by the way, find that doll costume of Kana. I didn't say it yesterday, when the door is closed, go to Central Park and turn around. Circle? Put on that outfit for Kong Na in a while, dress up cutely, and take a photo for me. Okay. Are you going for a picnic? Kong Na raised her head and looked at Shi Xiaoliai's big face above her head. Yes. He stretched out his fingers that were thicker than ordinary people, and gently wiped off a small drop of caramel that Kong Na accidentally stuck on the tip of his nose. Looking at the little girl's eyes, Shi Xiaoliai said with a smile, Aren't you arguing that you want to go?" "Oh. Xiaoliai is the best. Haha, eat quickly, go change your clothes when you're done, let's go early. With a width of 0.8 km and a length of 4 km, the total area of the Central Park is as much as 340 hectares. In New York, where every inch of land is expensive, and in the most prosperous Manhattan area, is there such a large piece of land left for planting trees? When you think about it, it's really incredible. Of course, whether it's worth it or not is something that the mayor and even the Congress consider. As an ordinary person, Shi Xiaoliai will not think about those irrelevant issues. Like most of the people who live nearby, he just sees it as an ordinary place to relax. When you are free, come here for a walk, or bring your family over to breathe the rare fresh air in the city. The rest, don't worry about it. Don't you feel tired? The door closes at 3:30 and goes out at 3:30. Because the store is located in Chinatown in Lower Manhattan, the distance is not very far, so it only took a quarter of an hour for a family of 3 to arrive at Central Park. Let the little girl Kong Na ride on her neck and support her calf with both hands. Shi Xiaoliai strolled forward while chatting with To Be, who was carrying the basket beside him. Precisely because of the little girl riding around her neck, Shi Xiaoliai was more than 2 meters tall when she saw from behind, but she was not as abrupt as usual. Coupled with To Be's gentleness and the giggling laughter of the little girl Kong Na. Well, it's mainly because To Be and Kong Na have white hair, which is easy to misunderstand, so the three of them staying together is really a bit the feeling of a young couple taking their children out. Along the walking path, I came to the broad lawn. Jumping off Shi Xiaoliai's shoulder, he saw someone with a pet dog playing here. The little girl couldn't wait to get close to her, took advantage of her cuteness, and quickly got permission to play with a few puppies. Shi Xiaoliai untied the slanted bag and took out a cloth pad. To Be opened the picnic basket and took out some snacks. Not too long ago, the small picnic camp was set up. Hey! Looking left and right, Shi Xiaoliai raised his hand and patted his forehead when he noticed something was missing. "Sylvia, look at Kona, I'll go to the parking lot." Looking at the little girl who was giggling 20 meters away, Shi Xiaoliai smiled embarrassedly at To Be, "I forgot the pudding box in the car, I'll go get it." "Yeah. It's not a big deal," To Be nodded obediently. Greeting Kong Na from a distance, Shi Xiaoliai turned away from the lawn and walked back along the path he came from. Nothing happened on the road, but when he got the things and closed the door to return, some visions came from the sky. Looking up and looking in the direction of the sound, a small black shadow was blazing at the feet, flying straight into the sky like a sky monkey, and another black spot that was slightly larger, dragging a billowing black smoke. Bit him hard behind him. "I'm going." Others didn't know what was going on, but as a transmigrator, Shi Xiaoliai immediately guessed what the situation was. That's right, in Iron Man 1, the scene of Obady driving the Iron Overlord and having a decisive battle with Tony Stark happened in front of Shi Xiaoliai. I don't know which day it was, but I remember very clearly that the final duel between the two only started after dark. Looking at the current time, it was only after 3 o'clock in the afternoon, but less than 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Involuntarily, a bunch of questions popped up in Shi Xiaoliai's heart. Didn't it happen at night? Why is it early in the afternoon? Has something changed? Could it be that the chain reaction was caused by the addition of a traveler like me? Or, this is not the Marvel Cinematic Universe, but a Marvel parallel universe with an unknown number? With all the doubts in his head, Shi Xiaoliai quickened his pace and returned to Tubi and Kong Na's side as soon as possible. Perhaps it was because the surrounding vegetation was relatively lush, which blocked the sound waves and sight, so neither of them noticed the vision just now. Just when Shi Xiaoliai hesitated for a moment, and finally gave up reminding the two for the reason of don't want to spoil the mood. Whoosh whoosh! Several bursts of wind blasted, and in the next second, several machine gun bullets penetrated the treetops and landed on the grass, creating a crater. Looking up subconsciously, Tony Stark in armor and the big Iron Overlord pulled out a double helix trajectory in the air like a DNA analysis map, and both fell on the lawn. Ah! Wong wong, wong wong! The man called the dog bark, and the originally quiet and leisurely atmosphere was completely broken. Tourists basking on the lawn shouted and fled. The dog walker forgot his pet, the shirtless forgot to put on his clothes, and he looked messy. Without worrying about other people, Shi Xiaoliai's eyes were bloodshot, and he took a step forward and rushed forward. The situation came too suddenly, his brain was a little short-circuited, and he forgot that Kong Na was actually a giant dragon. Well, mainly Iron Overlord's fall was too close to Kong Na, and the little girl's appearance of splashing mud was too distressing. In desperation, Shi Xiaoliai, who treated the little girl as her daughter, completely forgot the fact that with her strength, it was impossible for her to be hurt by these two iron cans. www.mtlnovel.com. It's too late, it's too soon. The Iron Overlord, with thicker armor and more energy, climbed out of the pit first. Perhaps because he didn't choose the right side when he landed, after getting up, Iron Overlord didn't face the pit where Iron Man was, but first saw Kong Na, who was holding the dog and standing in front of him with a head of dirt on his back. The dog's trembling reaction made Kona couldn't help feeling distressed. The beloved doll's suit was soiled, which also made Kong Na very dissatisfied. Looking up at the upright Iron Overlord, the little girl widened her eyes angrily. Bad guy. Tony Stark is the only object of hatred for Obadiah. No, in the strict sense, he doesn't hate Tony Stark, he will attack Tony Stark just for the money. There is one thing to say, this guy is bad, but he is not at the level of anti-humanity. Ordinarily, with Opadri's character, he shouldn't have poisoned a cute and threatening little girl like Kona. The bad is because of Kong Na's bad guy. I feel that I am the biggest contributor to the development and growth of Stark Industry, and I think my choice is the right solution, but I cannot deny that my actions have indeed violated the law and morality. Under such a state of mind, Obadi is the last thing he wants to hear. That is, others define themselves as villains. No, I'm the one who made the right choice. The violence inspired by the battle, coupled with the loss of rationality caused by psychological extremes, Obadi raised his right arm, opened his huge palm, and grabbed it. Connor. Seeing that the little girl is about to be caught by the Iron Overlord. The next moment, an angry shout came from the sky, Rua! A barbarian-specific winged helmet on his head, wrapped in thick heavy armor, and holding a huge hammer. Shi Xiaoliai, who fell from the sky, had already put on the exclusive barbarian equipment that came with his bloodline. With endless shock, he launched the most violent attack on the Iron Overlord. Where did the barbarian come from? Before Obadi could figure out where the retro-looking Shi Xiaoliai came from, the huge hammer had already landed firmly on the Iron Overlord made of alloy. A loud bang sound. The Iron Overlord, which weighed several tons, was smashed to the sky and fell to the sky, and the right shoulder part that was hit hard, even scattered a lot of fragments, and electric sparks appeared. Kana, are you okay? Without chasing after the victory, Shi Xiaoliai immediately crouched down after landing and asked Kong Na eagerly. The little girl obediently shook her head. However, because her clothes were soiled, she still had a bit of dissatisfaction on her face. Xiaolei, can I hit him? Come on, Kona, go to Sylvia's side and let her clean up for you. While speaking, the fallen Iron Overlord, under the control of Obadiah, stood up staggeringly again. You! Hey, Obadiah! His heart was also full of surprise, but Tony Stark did not forget what the current situation was. In order to protect the cute little girl Kong Na, he didn't want to let Shiziaoliai, an outsider, bear the attack for him, so he quickly restrained his concentration and attacked Iron Overlord again. It's just that the combat capability of the Mark III is really a bit of a stretch. The heat ray dedicated to combat has not been developed yet, and the palm cannon temporarily transformed from the propulsion function really does not have much lethality. After 3 shots in a row, Tai Ba Wang didn't even drop a piece of iron slag. It was just a small piece of blackened where he was hit. Fortunately, these attacks were accompanied by a thrust. A shot was fired on the helmet, and his head was tilted. Obadiah turned his attention back to Iron Man, who was wandering in the air. Tony! The Gatling gun on his left shoulder fired up again, and a string of bullets dragged the flames and rained down on Tony like raindrops. Go quickly! Taking advantage of Iron Man's attention to Tai Ba Wang and pulling it away by dozens of meters, Shiziaoliai quickly handed Kong Na over to 2B, who came over slowly. Turning his head and looking at the two who were fighting again, he made a decision in his heart. Sylvia, take Kona away first, I'll come later. The only bit of ammunition has long been used up, and there is not much energy left to support the movement of the armor. In just a few seconds, Iron Man showed a decline under the fierce attack of Iron Overlord. It was because of seeing this scene that Shiziaoliai gave up on his long-standing principle. Well, it was mainly at that moment that the fighting desire hidden in the barbarian bloodline was stimulated. At this moment, I don't have any other thoughts, I just want to have a good fight. Ha! He used the jump attack skill again, another big jump that made the high jumper cry. In an instant, Shiziaoliai, with majestic power, stood in front of the Iron Overlord who was chasing Iron Man. Without paying attention, swinging the sledgehammer is another heavy blow. Duan! This hammer struck the Iron Overlord's breastplate. The sound of the hammer falling is slightly different depending on where it falls. It's you again. Seeing that he was about to succeed, he didn't expect the barbarian to appear in front of him again. Obadiah scolded the street angrily, waved his left hand, and punched Shiziaoliai. Don't look at the few tricks that come and go in the game, in fact, every barbarian is a real combat expert. Although the action routines are different from assassins, when it comes to the number of trick routines, they are no worse than assassins. It's good to come. Taking half a step back, he avoided Tai Ba Wang's punch by a tiny margin. Then, Shiziaoliai took advantage of the inertia of this step to flexibly turn the hammer in his hand, from bottom to top, hitting the top with a hammer. The joint of Tai Ba Wang's left arm. The force was not strong enough to break the arm in one blow, or even destroy the internal parts, causing the iron arm to fail. Tisk! After a few more rounds, Shiziaoliai decided that he could not exert the maximum power of the hammer in close combat, and could not cause fatal damage to the heavy and sturdy Iron Overlord. Shiziaoliai immediately made a choice. Taking advantage of Iron Man's attack again, taking part of Tai Ba Wang's attention away, Shiziaoliai circled halfway around and came behind Tai Ba Wang. With a flick of his hands, he switched to the second set of weapons. Burning Cruel Hand Axe and Trembling Longsword of the North Wind. Although they are all blue weapons, their damage is not as high as the previous big hammer. But these two weapons have fire damage and freezing damage, and they are both sharp weapons with a blade. Drink! With a howl, he gave himself a buff that increased damage. Shiziaoliai used his sword in his left hand and stabbed at Tai Ba Wang's back waist, while in his right hand he waved a hand axe and slashed towards the back of his right knee. Not to mention, after switching to sharps, the effect is really much better. With the long sword with freezing damage, a light blue layer of ice formed on Tai Ba Wang's body with just a slight stab. The big man, who was originally silver-grey and full of deterrence, suddenly turned into a large smurf. And the hand axe with fire damage, like the heat axe in Zakotu's hand. www.mtlnovel.com cut off Iron Overlord's right leg without hindrance. D. Inside the Iron Overlord, a blood-red reminder appeared in front of Obeidi's eyes, just like in the original work. After flying high in the sky, it malfunctioned or crashed due to the freezing problem. The same glitch occurred in Iron King's operating system. Of course, the more serious fault still comes from the right leg. No, just as he was about to activate the emergency measures to troubleshoot, Obeidi suddenly found that his center of gravity was shifting, and in an instant, he fell to the ground along with the Iron Overlord. When the iron was hot, Shi Xiaoliai poked two swords at Tai Ba Wang. There were two more waves of freezing damage, and the operating system was completely shut down. The eye light on the helmet also went out. Seeing this change, Iron Man flew over and landed on the ground. Move, move. Dang dang, dang dang dot. Busy restarting the system, when he heard the knocking sound from outside the helmet, Obadiah's eyes were red, and the blue veins on his neck were bulging. Obi, you lost, give up your resistance and come out. After persuading him, Stark turned his head and looked at Shi Xiaoliai in battle armor. The situation is resolved, then, leave it to me to deal with it. I mean, you look very dazzling now. If you don't want to, if you reveal your identity, you'd better leave early. No, not yet. Shaking his head, Shi Xiaoliai waved his axe and chopped off Tai Ba Wang's hands and feet, as well as the machine gun mounted on his torso. After taking a few glances, he nodded, this is the route. While speaking, Shi Xiaoliai had already put away his equipment, changing from a big man in armor to a casual outfit before. If you let 2B take a shot, with the defensive power of Iron Overlord, it will last for a minute or two at most. After all, 2B comes from the world of Nier Automata, and what he is best at is fighting robots. Although the size is a little bigger and the armor is updated, in the final analysis, Tai Ba Wang is also a humanoid machine. In terms of type, it happens to be the type that 2B is best at. If it was Kong Na, the battle time might even be shortened to a second or two. In comparison, Shi Xiaoliai's efficiency is indeed much worse. It's just. Except for the family of three, no one knows the true identities of 2B and Kong Na, and no one knows their actual combat power. Therefore, after the incident, what really attracted the attention of all parties, and only in the battle Shi Xiaoliai was the only one who had a shot in the middle. Walk slowly, don't send it. Okay, welcome to come again next time. No problem, get in touch when you're free. Accompanying the little girl Kong Na and sending off her friends and the accompanying parents, Shi Xiaoliai lowered his eyes and touched the top of the little girl's head. Kong Na, did you have a good time today? She raised her face, and Kong Na answered with satisfaction. Maybe it was because she had too much fun with her friends, and there were still 2 blushing patches on her white and tender face. As the old saying goes, it is true that children are forgetful. Less than a day has passed, and the little girl has already forgotten the accident she encountered in Central Park yesterday, and has returned to her usual cute and lively temperament. Let's go back and tell you secretly, oh, I also hid 3 puddings and didn't take them out. How about we each have one? With light in her eyes, the little girl grabbed Shi Xiaoliai's thick fingers, raised her 2 short legs, and wanted to run into the house. At this moment, a sports car that was extremely sassy drove up on the road in front of the door, and stopped in front of the 2 of them with a squeak. Tony Stark, wearing sunglasses, opened the car door and walked out. Guessed that Tony Stark would come to the door sooner or later, but he didn't expect him to come so quickly. To be honest, Shi Xiaoliai was indeed a little surprised. Little guy, didn't you scare you yesterday? This is an apology I prepared for you. Before he came up to talk to Shi Xiaoliai, Tony Stark first came to the little girl Kana, squatted down, and walked from behind. He took out a small gift box with a ribbon. Looking at Stark, and then looking up at Shi Xiaoliai, Kong Na bit her fingers with a little hesitation on her face. Xiaolei, can I accept it? Take it, but don't forget to say thank you. Yeah. Kana then took the small gift box and gave Stark a cute smile. Thank you. Even Tony Stark, who is arrogant, can't bear the cuteness of the little girl. Reaching out his hand subconsciously, he touched the top of Kona's head, and a warm smile appeared on Stark's face unconsciously. It's just that the duration was a bit short. When he stood up, his expression had returned to his usual appearance. No, he came here to thank you, but his tone was a little stern. Meet again, big man. What should I call you? Medieval gladiator, or Locke? Okay, Locke. Looking left and right, Stark raised his eyebrows. I don't need to introduce myself, right? I want to talk to you. Can I find a quiet place? Go into the room and talk. He tilted his head and signaled to follow. Shi Xiaoliai turned around and dragged Kong Na into the house. The layout of the front store and the back home, the area used in daily life, is a little small. In addition, it has only been 2 or 3 months since it was purchased, and many things have not yet had time to buy, and the various utensils at home are a little less. Ordinary people will feel a little rudimentary. Tony Stark, who is used to a good life, it seems that it goes without saying. Write an extra 0 on the check later. Stark thought. Sit down, what would you like to drink? Sending Kong Na back to her room, Shi Xiaoliai pointed to the chair by the table. I only have Coke, instant coffee, and Chinese-made spirits here. No. Rejecting Shi Xiaoliai's proposal, he sat down on the folding chair a little uncomfortable. Stark explained his intentions straight to the point. I came to you today for 2 purposes. He only mentioned 2 things, repaying your help yesterday and don't reveal information to outsiders. In fact, in Tony Stark's heart, there is another strong curiosity whether it is his ability to instantly put on and take off armor equipment, or the special effects attached to the weapon, or a big jump, the physical fitness spanning dozens of meters. In short, the various abilities Shi Xiaoliai showed in the battle yesterday, like a beautiful and mysterious beauty, has an unparalleled attraction to Tony Stark. Out of pride in his heart, Stark did not say these words. So, is this a hush money? Looking at the check that Stark pushed in front of him, Shi Xiaoliai smiled speechlessly. No, it's just a thank you. Stark retorted, I never bother to do something like sealing up. I'm also right. www.mtlnovel.com. You're not afraid to tell any woman you've slept with. With your personality, it's really unnecessary. Anyway, if you don't want to cause trouble for yourself, it's best not to talk about it. Stark nodded proudly, I'm not afraid. Whether it's the CIA, the FBI, or those reporter paparazzi, no one dares not give it to me. Face. But with your situation, I'm sorry, I can't send someone for a long time to help you solve those troubles. Coulson has been looking for your help to have an egg. Wait, what happened yesterday? Will it attract the attention of Hydra? Alas, if I had known it earlier, I would not be so impulsive. I don't know what Shi Xiaoliai was thinking about. Seeing that he didn't speak for a few seconds, he thought he was worried about the troubles that followed. After thinking about it, Stark still couldn't hold back his inner desire, and with a bald mouth, he proposed a deal, or like this, I will pay to organize a team to deal with the follow-up trouble for you. In exchange, you cooperate with me. How many experiments shall I do? Hey! When he came back to his senses, he heard the word experiment. Shi Xiaoliai couldn't help but raise his guard, and there was a bit of hostility in his eyes. To be honest, I'm really curious about the ability you showed yesterday. Anyway, He had already started, and he was not afraid to say a few more words. Stark continued to ask, "Can you talk about it? How did you achieve the moment? Dress up, and what about the weapons you used in battle? Say? Still don't say it." While thinking about it, Shi Xiaoliai made a choice. "Really want to know?" Looking into Shi Xiaoliai's eyes, Stark didn't say anything, just took out the checkbook from his pocket again. "Haha, since you're so straightforward, I'll talk a little bit more." Before intervening in the battle between Iron Overlord and Iron Man, he had already entered the SHIELD. With the urination of that group of people, I knew with my toes that I would definitely receive more close attention. Maybe some time ago, my information was only reported to Coulson by word of mouth, and it was not reported to Coulson by word of mouth. The paper form is preserved, but at this point, Coulson will definitely report the matter to his superiors, organize his relevant information into a booklet, and submit it. Whether SHIELD or Hydra, after showing their strength, they will definitely come to you. No matter what kind of intentions the other party has or what actions they will take, one thing is certain, his future daily life will definitely be greatly affected by the appearance of these agents. Although there is a saying that people are floating in the rivers and lakes, how can they not be knifed? But to be honest, Shi Xiaoliai really doesn't want to get involved in those messes. When something big happens, it's okay to lend a helping hand. Can you deal with them every day and follow orders like grassroots employees? Forget it. How to avoid this possibility? Probably think about it. There are two ways. Either show stronger strength and deter the opponent, so that they don't dare to act rashly. Or, get a sturdier shield. There is no doubt that Tony Stark is the best candidate to act as a shield. After all, in his capacity, SHIELD will only soften, and the Hydra hidden in the dark will not provoke him easily out of fear of being discovered. Sell it to Stark. If there is any trouble going back, it can be solved with his help. In addition, Stark gave a lot of money, which was also one of the reasons. It's not that Shi Xiaoliai is greedy for money and wants to live a life of drunkenness. From the point of view of personal preferences, he actually doesn't like the so-called upper life at all. What's so good about putting on a fake smile every day and entertaining one game after another? I feel tired thinking about it. Shi Xiaoliai's favorite is to live together as a family and feel warmth and happiness from the busy and ordinary daily life. The reason why Stark was impressed by his money ability was just because this extra income could greatly improve Shi Xiaoliai's own personal strength values such as experience points, attribute points, and skill points were acquired through training. Gradually improve, although the efficiency is not very high, but the whole process is almost as little as hanging up, basically without Shi Xiaoliai too much trouble. It's just the gold coins needed to buy equipment and potions are exchanged for cash. This made Shi Xiaoliai feel very upset. Why do you only wear the white plate armor given by the system when you fight with Iron Overlord, and you only have 2 blue weapons in your hand? In the final analysis, it is because the profit from running a small shop is not very rich. After removing the living expenses and the reserve fund deposited in the bank, there is not much money left. Not much gold coins can be exchanged, and gold equipment cannot be bought. As for gambling on dark gold, don't even think about it. Since Tony Stark is willing to spend money, gold equipment is right in front of you. If the business is done well, dark gold equipment is not impossible. Thinking of this, Shi Xiaoliai couldn't help but be moved. For some reason, I can't answer some questions for you. After thinking about it, Shi Xiaoliai took out a weapon and a chainmail from the backpack and put it on the table. It's these 2 things. I can lend you a piece of equipment to study for a period of time. Only 2. Raising his eyebrows, Stark seemed unsatisfied. In the battle video, what about the one you wore? Take it out together. How about 5 million pieces? Hearing this price, it would be a lie to say that you are not moved. However, thinking of the old saying that what is rare is precious, Shi Xiaoliai shook his head, I have to keep those. This is the United States. If there is no means of self-defense, life will be difficult. If it's just for this reason, I can give you a batch of weapons. Stark continued to persuade, you know, I just closed the weapons department of Stark Industries, and there are still many stocks that have not been cleared. Forget it, I've never used those, so I can't play. Besides, you can't carry the things you made with you like this. As he said, Shi Xiaoliai picked up the machete on the table, instantly put it in the backpack and take it out. Because of Shi Xiaoliai's behavior, Stark's thirst for knowledge was stimulated again, and his eyes became more and more vigorous. Okay, well, for your sincerity, I'll give you a few more samples. I couldn't bear Stark's eager eyes. Well, it was mainly because he wrote another one check. Being defeated by the money offensive, Shi Xiaoliai could only shake his head with a wry smile, and then took out a few small bottles from the backpack and put them together with the machete and chain mail. This bottle is red, it is used to treat injuries. This black bottle can remove various toxins and increase resistance to toxins in a short period of time. This white bottle is called Stamina Potion. Drinking it, even your physique, can run a full marathon effortlessly. In Diablo 2, there are a total of 6 kinds of medicines that can be taken orally. Shi Xiaoliai only took out 3 kinds of medicines www.mentalnovel.com, and he did not take out the remaining yellow, blue, and purple medicines. The effect of the yellow potion is to unfreeze and increase ice resistance, so Stark can't use it at all. The blue potion restores mana. Thinking that Stark doesn't know Doctor Strange yet, and he doesn't know anything about Kamatage, he shouldn't believe in the existence of magic and mana, so Shi Xiaoliai didn't take it out. As for the purple potion with better effect, that is, the vitality potion, that thing is too expensive. Before cashing the check given by Stark, with the little money that Shi Xiaoliai saved, he was really reluctant to buy it. Hey! Unexpectedly, Shi Xiaoliai actually took out several medicines instead of equipment. Hearing the effect he introduced, Stark couldn't help but have 2 lights in his eyes. Wow! It's really surprising, it turns out that you are not only a warrior, but also a part-time pharmacist? Locke? Are you sure that these potions have such miraculous effects as you said? You can try it. Raising his hand, Shi Xiaoliai said with a smile, considering that these are disposable consumables, I won't charge a high price. No matter the type, how about $10,000 a bottle? No problem, if the effect is really that magical. He touched the red bottle, then picked up the black bottle and looked at it. In the end, Stark chose the small bottle containing the white potion. This is a potion of physical strength. Right. Hey, do you trust me so much? No, I'm just going to start experimenting with it. Because of Shi Xiaoliai's words, rationality came back again, suppressing the fever caused by the desire for scientific research. Stark put the potion back on the table and looked at Shi Xiaoliai again. The samples are too few, give me a few more bottles of each. No problem, hehe, thank you for your patronage. The appearance of Shi Xiaoliai led to some changes in Coulson's work arrangement. Staggering a certain point in time happened to find a flaw that was not detected in the original plot, which made Coulson confirm the fact that Obadiah was the culprit earlier. Then, without Tony Stark's request, Coulson took the initiative to lead the attack, rushed to the headquarters of Stark Industries earlier, received Chili Pepper who had gone to the company to steal intelligence, and took her to the safe house. Since Obadiah didn't take Chili Peppers as a target, it was precisely because of the extra few minutes that Stark had room to think about, so the battlefield was switched to Central Park, where there was less traffic. Instead of just like the original plot, it broke out in the bustling downtown area. And then, because of Shi Xiaoliai's horizontal intervention, Tai Ba Wang quickly lost. It did not fall into the arc reactor, did not cause an explosion, and the Iron Overlord was not completely destroyed. These are different from the follow-up development of the original plot, and caused more chain reactions. First of all, Obeidi is not dead, which means that Pepper needs to focus on her work, whether it is negotiating or a hostile takeover. In short, in order to recover the part of the equity in Obeidi's hand, she must spend a while. Secondly, the arc reactor in the building did not explode, and both sides of the battle were hiding in their armors without revealing their true identities. In addition, the final battlefield was in Central Park, which diverted the public's attention to a certain extent. Therefore, this time Stark Industries hasn't been in the spotlight for all of the events. In this way, Stark Industries does not have to hold a press conference in a hurry in order to stabilize the stock price as in the original plot. In the end, Iron Overlord was only destroyed, not completely destroyed. Like the Mark I that Tony Stark knocked out with a hammer in a cave, Iron Overlord's wreckage also caused S.H.I.E.L.D. and Hydra's concern. In order to obtain this black technology that can greatly improve the combat effectiveness of individual soldiers, both parties have made some arrangements. All in all, Coulson did not hang around Stark every day like a bodyguard like in the original plot. Nick Fury, who was nicknamed by fans as Majafokman, did not show up immediately. There is no need to hold a press conference, and there are not so many messy things to deal with. Tony Stark, who is full of leisure, spends all his time in the laboratory and devotes himself to his favorite research work for the first time. Jarvis, the analysis result. After taking a shower, wearing a bathrobe, he came to the laboratory located in the basement of the mansion again. Tony Stark took a sip of the coffee brought by the robot and said, "Tisk, what kind of taste, you should still be dismantled." Xiao Dai lowered his mechanical arm in frustration, and hid in the corner in a sullen mood. "Sir, according to my analysis, there are 76 different components in the medicine you provided, of which 37 can be identified as sources, and 32 can be analyzed for components, but it is impossible to determine whether they are what ingredients are they extracted from. Also, there are 7 other ingredients that don't exist in my database." Following Jarvis' reply, a translucent projection interface appeared in front of Tony Stark. He stretched out his empty left hand, swiped in the air a few times, read the list of ingredients listed by Jarvis, and then clicked on the few entries with question marks. As Stark operated, he continued, 7 unknown ingredients. "Well, it seems that we have a job. By the way, Jarvis, have the results of the biological clinical experiment come out?" Bio. With a sci-fi sound, several new panels jumped out. On the panel in the middle, a video is playing. At the same time, Jarvis gave a detailed explanation. "So far, the clinical effects of the red and white medicines have been analyzed, and the experiment of the black medicines is still going on. It is expected that a conclusion will be drawn in 3 hours. Sir, what I see now is the experimental process of the red potion. As you can see, this potion has a very significant therapeutic effect on various mechanical injuries. Taking this as a reference standard, the efficiency of treating thermal injuries is about 78%. Around 84% for pressure injuries and the worst for radiation injuries at 65%. Well, continue. Comparing with the various trauma medicines available on the market, the same wound is 2 cm long and half a centimeter deep. Using the XXXX provided by the Marine Corps, with sutures, it will take at least 3 to 5 days to heal completely. And if you use the red medicine, it only takes 15 seconds to half a minute. In addition, the same area of burn, frostbite, and acid erosion will not take more than 1 minute to heal. I don't know how many times faster the efficiency is. If this thing can be manufactured in batches. Looks like I have to take some time out to take a course in biochemical medicine. I just closed the weapons department, and I haven't thought of the idea of developing energy yet." At such a juncture, after getting the medicine given by Shizaoliai, it is no wonder that Tony Stark would have the idea of developing medicine to make money. If you plan to launch a new drug, I personally recommend choosing a white drug. Hey! I didn't expect Jarvis to say that. www.mtlnovel.com. Tony raised his eyebrows. The reason? The effect of the red potion is to heal wounds, and for those who are not injured, it is not very attractive. The white potion is different. It has been experimentally confirmed that it can provide the user with extremely strong stamina, and there is no any side effects. Jarvis explained, whether it is occupations that require physical strength, such as construction workers, farmers, athletes, or occupations that focus on mental work, such as office white-collar workers, doctors, and teachers, you can take this medicine. It greatly improves work efficiency. Compared with the red medicine that can only treat injuries, the application scope of the white medicine is much larger. It can be said that everyone except children and the elderly is a potential consumer. Jarvis said a lot, but Tony Stark really listened to only one of them. Strengthen endurance without any side effects? Are you sure? Yes. All the experimental results of the control group can prove this. Wow, it seems that this thing is really promising. Stark couldn't help whistling, and there was an LSP smile on his face. Jarvis, is there anything left? Give it to me. Save one, I'll try it tonight. 7 of them were used during the experiment, and there are 3 more. Following Jarvis' answer, a hole was opened in the wall, and a box was pushed out by the conveyor belt. Derpy huddled in the corner moved. Looking at its posture, it seemed that he wanted to go and fetch the box and bring it to Stark. Oh, stop, don't touch my baby, put it there, I'll do it myself. Afraid that Xiao Dian accidentally broke the potion, Stark hurriedly jumped up. Don't force me to dismantle it. Okay.